Hello, I am responding to this comment from Amanda that she left about a month ago with a really awesome question about the vocation sphere, posted under the Understanding Your Vocation Sphere in the Gene Keys Prosperity Sequence video that I put up a while ago. And she asked about her vocation sphere. She says, mine is artfulness, meaning the gift of her vocation sphere is artfulness. I don't understand what that means. I can play the piano, draw, sew, grow pretty things, but I don't know what I love most. I clean houses. It's line two, meaning her vocation sphere is on line two. And I do it with one other girl, but I don't love it by any means. Making art with a partner, any insights on how to narrow it down? And it's so interesting because a lot of the words on the gene keys are a little bit different than how they sound on the surface. So that's what I wanted to talk about and explore a little bit today for this question. So we actually, in the Expansive CEO Mastermind, the Money Magnet Mastermind that I run 3 times a month, we did a really deep dive on the vocation sphere recently, and it was so powerful. We talked about what the vocation sphere is about. And if we look at, if I go back to sharing my screen here, and we look at the vocation sphere. So this was from, again, a couple months ago when we talked about it. The vocation sphere itself, right here on the gene key map, is both the vocation, that's the blue. See, it's part of the blue sequence, the pearl sequence. And you see it's also half red. It's also part of the love sequence or the Venus sequence. So the blue side is called vocation sphere, and the red side is called your core wound. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's as you come out of the love sequence, it's the core wound that you are here to heal within yourself, and by extension, heal within the collective as well. When you heal, you help others heal just naturally by your state of being in the world as a, healing piece. And then it's also then the initiation, the start of the prosperity sequence as the vocation sphere. So when you heal your core wound and you start moving in that healed space, this turns into your vocation of how you do what you are meant to do in this lifetime. And so, from that perspective, the vocation sphere tells us what we might be holding back from. The vocation sphere is how you do the thing. Whatever it is that you do, it's how you do it. And so what's the opposite of doing something? Is not doing something, is waiting, is what we can call inertia. All right. So if we look here, this is straight from the Gene Keys website, and talking about the core and the vocation. It says the sphere of your core relates to the 9-month gestation period when all your life's patterns, physical, emotional, and mental, were imprinted inside your mother's womb. Your core reveals the final layer of your deepest potential. Woven into your DNA is an ancient wound that you share with all humanity. As your awareness penetrates this place inside yourself, so you will paradoxically experience your unity with all beings. The shadow of this gene key conceals your highest vocation, the great gift that can one day motivate you to excel in life. As you unlock this gene key through following your Venus sequence back through your childhood, you can one day bring your awareness back to the point of conception, to this wonderful mystery in which all your suffering is transformed into your divinity. It's beautiful. It's flowery. And you might be saying, like, okay, like, how do I use this? What do I actually do with this? I love this one. So this article on Medium, so good. I can post that to the comments as well to share so you can read that. I loved how he put this. He says, the vocation shows you what to take the initiative in. If your life's work shows you what to do, so that's right here, your life's work shows you what to do. The vocation sphere shows you how to do it. So again, looking at this, your life's work shows you what you are here to do. Your vocation shows you how you are here to do it. So coming back then to Amanda's question, her vocation is the gift of artfulness. So it's not what you're here to do that's in your life's work sphere. Instead, artfulness is about how you are here to do it. So that's the first part. So let's talk about then in the 26th gene key. So this going straight from the big book that gives, all has all of the gene keys in it. This is where, when I said earlier that the names that we see, like artfulness, doesn't necessarily mean you're here to do art, right? It's not literally talking about art necessarily. It's just different. So let's talk about it. So in our gene keys, the shadow, when we are in the shadow energy, that is where we are acting out of alignment with ourselves, acting out of integrity within ourselves. It's where, in human design terms, we're in our not self. And in this one, the 26th gene key in particular, for Amanda, the shadow is pride. So you've got the shadow of pride, you've got the gift of artfulness, and the Siddhi of invisibility. We're not going to worry about the Siddhi in this video. We're just going to focus on the shadow and the gift, because as we walk, and this is what I teach over and over again, our choice that we consistently make, we don't necessarily choose to be in the Siddhi. We choose to notice when we are in shadow and choose to move into the gift energy. We choose over and over. I notice where I'm in pridefulness. Where can I move to artfulness? We make that choice over and over and over. And as you start to really live into the gift, as you start to live into artfulness in this case, that over time and over with so much patience and practice and just doing it over and over again, that's when you start to move into the Siddhi, right? So it's a result, this moving into that Siddhi of invisibility, which again doesn't mean what you think it means, is just a result of walking in that gift of artfulness over and over and over again. So what does that mean? The 26th shadow of pride. When you are, I love that this is the vocation sphere, by the way. I think this is so perfect because it speaks so well to, it's not what you are doing, it's how you are doing it, the vocation. And so when you are in pride, that is the shadow. That's the shadow of this gene key. And so I wanted to read some of this so that it makes sense. So again, right on the 26th. The shadow of pride, aka wielding the will. So there's quite a bit here, and I'm just going to read some snippets. And it says at the shadow frequency, let's see, the 26th gene key is unique because it has to do with utilizing light waves via the medium of the individual will. In other words, through your willpower, you can bend light and turn it to your advantage. The gene key, therefore, has a great deal to do with the correct and harmonious use of willpower. There's a huge conditioning field on this planet telling you that nothing will ever come to you in life unless you reach out and grab it. At the shadow frequency, you allow your unconscious fear that you have to reach out and grab, you have to take things if you want to get anything. You allow your unconscious fear to make you distrust the natural and easy flow of life. Out of this fear, you try to control life by pitting your individual will against the whole. And so the 26th shadow of pride begins to rule your life. Skip a little bit. If you have enough willpower, you can achieve almost anything. This is the language of the 26th shadow, and it is important to remember that there's nothing wrong with this belief. It's a vital stepping stone to a far higher frequency. However, there are two types of will. There is your will, which, as we shall see, is an illusion, and then there is thy will, which we'll look at when we examine the higher frequencies of the 26th gene key. Your will, your personal individual will, is the foundation of human pride. It is the belief that you as an individual can control the forces of nature and come out on top. Nowhere in our society is the shadow of willful pride more dominant than in the sphere of business. All modern business is built on this rationale of individual willpower. If you are driven by the 26th shadow, then, like many others, you use your willpower for the sake of personal gain and recognition. In business, this means that to climb to the top, you must consciously or unconsciously push others down. So there's more here, and we'll get to a little bit more of it too. But what it's saying is that really, like, if you are in the shadow of the 26th gene key, the shadow of pride, then you are going to constantly feel like you have to go and take what's yours. That's part of it. And you will also feel like in order to get to the top, you're going to have to smash others. You're going to have to put other people down. It says a little bit further on, the philosophy of the 26th shadow is based on every man for himself, or every person for themselves. And in such a system, someone always loses. It's this feeling that in order for me to win, someone else has to lose. And that's just the way it is. And I'm going to come out on top. I'm going to be the one. I'm going to be the one that manipulates the situation to come out on top. That is the shadow of the 26th gene key, the shadow of pride. Now, the other like underlying piece of this is that, and it says it right here, I love this, I'll just read it. The deepest sadness of all is that the 26th gene key contains such effortless magic, but it is effectively negated by the deep-seated and false belief that you cannot get anywhere in life except by sheer force of will. So it's taking away the ease, the artfulness, the beauty of, allowing yourself to be magnetic and just and live into your gifts, and saying that in order to get what I want, I have to exert all of my willpower in order to get there. So with all gene keys in the shadow, there's a repressive nature and a reactive nature. And you might experience both of these, or you might experience one more than the other. I've found it goes either way. I've had people who really resonate with one side over the other. And then I've had people say, mostly I'm repressed. I'll turn in on myself more often, but if I'm pushed too far, I'll react and I'll move into the reactive side. Right. So it's just kind of like listen and see which one resonates more for you more often in your life. So the repressive nature of this shadow, how you might see it actually show up in your life, other than, that every man for himself, every person for themselves, or, I have to put others down in order to rise, or in order for anyone to rise, anyone to be at the top, they have to put others down, right? That's that shadow. If you're on the repressive side of it, you are manipulative. The 26th shadow can be really sneaky, so I'm reading here. When pride manifests through a repressive human nature, it becomes manipulation, but not in an obvious way. This is covert manipulation. These people manipulate others by putting them down, or use guilt and shame as subtle weapons. Often these patterns are acted out unconsciously, which means that such people rarely feel accountable for their actions or the effects they have on others. The 26th shadow uses its natural cunning to make others feel bad or inferior, which are behavior patterns rooted in fear. Pride that is rooted in fear always leads to manipulation. It's a simple and lethal equation. So if you're on the repressive side, that pride is going to lead to manipulation, and it's based in fear. Okay. The reactive side instead. So if you're on the more reactive side of the spectrum, the reactive nature is boastful. The more upfront version of pride is boastfulness, and that we can kind of like connect with that better, right? You think of someone as being prideful, they're boasting about their accomplishments. This is a pride that we all know so well as ego. All lower frequencies are inherently isolating. To boast is to try and draw attention to oneself, to render oneself more visible. When someone is boastful, they do not realize that their acts or words have the reverse effect of their intention. There are many ways of boasting, both conscious and unconscious. One of the most obvious is seen in displays of personal wealth, power, and property. While the higher frequencies of the 26th gene key naturally draw positive recognition, the 26th shadow and all of its displays draw jealousy, resentment, or at worst, inspire greed. These people suppress great anger, and when it inevitably explodes, it manifests as the ugliest form of pride and creates a strong repulsion in others. So the repressive nature of manipulative is based in fear, and the reactive nature of boastful is based in anger. So that is going to be very similar across the board. A lot of the gene keys, the repressive side is based more in fear, and the reactive side is based more in anger, right? It wants to blame out, send out, and the repressive side wants to, draw inward. So that's the shadow, thinking about that, right? So in our vocation sphere, again, connecting how we do what we do. If you are in the shadow of pride, that is going to mean that when you think about what you're going to do, you're going to feel like, I have to grind. I have to take what's mine. I have to, use all of my willpower and force to make this happen. All of those things are going to come up in the shadow. So how you do what you do, if you move into your gift, if you decide you notice yourself either being manipulative or being boastful, and feeling like it's every person for themselves, I'm going to get to the top and I'm going to do whatever it takes, right? In that way that you think you're going to be stepping on others to get up to your chosen goal, that's where you can say, okay, I notice, I recognize that shadow self. I recognize the shadow coming up for me. How do I move into the gift in whatever it is you're doing? And so for you, Amanda, that's going to be your life's work sphere up at the top of your gene key map. That's going to be more centered around what you do. And again, the artfulness that we're about to talk about is how you do it. How do you go about being you? How do you go about doing the things that you are here to do in this lifetime? So the gift of artfulness doesn't have to do with being an artist. That's not what we're talking about here. When you get to the gift level, so I'm reading again from the book, of the 26th gene key, you learn a very great secret in life. You learn the difference between will and intention. At the lower frequency, the 26th shadow leads you to believe that you must exert huge willpower to attain your dreams in life. The problem here is that at the shadow frequency, you cannot possibly know what your dreams really are. Inside the coils of your DNA, your higher purpose lies concealed. You cannot force that purpose out into the world by sheer force of will. Your higher purpose can only manifest when you surrender your individual will to nature as a whole. This process of surrender begins with the understanding that your higher purpose is something that you must tune into rather than impose upon the world. So let's move through to more like, okay, what does this mean? What do we do with that? The 26th gift celebrates your ego without self-judgment and in full awareness. When this gift awakens, you realize there's absolutely nothing wrong with pride. Pride is simply a low frequency of the word for the same energy that can be called artfulness. When you learn how to use pride creatively, it becomes something powerful and even beautiful. The 26th gift loves attention. It is designed to draw attention. This gift is about the love of selling something to someone, whether a product, yourself, or a truth. The 26th gift represents the love of marketing, of dressing something up so that others will buy into it. In order to sell a product or a truth, you have to put yourself in the limelight. You have to embrace the energy of pride and ego that lies within all humans and use it in the service of your higher purpose. The 26th gift includes a natural born shrewdness. Through this gift, you can use the power of your ego to deliver your message. To do so, you must embrace it. We have seen that ego has a negative connotation in many spiritual circles, where it's often seen as something to be conquered and transcended. But through the gift of artfulness, your ego actually becomes an art form. Out of this gift emerges the ability to manipulate racial memory. In other words, you instinctively know how to speak the exact language of the person before you. This ability to manipulate your audience can be devastating at the lower frequencies. But since it's rooted in fear, since at the lower frequency, it's rooted in fear and sells itself through fear. But at a higher frequency, freed from fear, the 26th gift sells itself through love. This is heart marketing. When you're manifesting the 26th gift, you are not identified with your own ego. It's simply something you use, like a costume to put on before a show. So artfulness is talking about using your own, it's that you have your own flair, you have your own sense of knowing how to convey a message, knowing how to sell something, whether again that's a product or an idea or a truth to the people around you. You know how to convince people. And so again, at the lower frequency, this can be manipulation. This can be manipulation out of fear. But at the higher frequency, it's taking that, and it even says this in here too, it's taking that idea of manipulation. And if we talk about that in a different sense, you use, like we use our fingers to manipulate things, right? We use our hands to manipulate tools. We use we use different, manipulation itself is not a bad thing. It's just, turning things different ways and moving things around until they fit, right? When you manipulate a puzzle piece, oh, I see this, but it's going the wrong direction. I need to manipulate this puzzle piece and turn it this direction so it fits next to this other one. That's manipulation. That's another expression of manipulation that is not rooted in fear. It's when the manipulation and selling is rooted in fear or in anger that it is based in that negative expression of pride. When you are, again, let's use that puzzle analogy, when you're manipulating something, right? Turning it around. So say you're with a client, or with a prospective client, artfulness means, okay, you have this solution, you have something to sell them that they have actually come to you. I'll use me as an example. So when I do financial planning for someone, for me, and I actually have this, it's not in my Pearl sequence, but I have the 26th gate activated in my profile as well. And I'll show you that in a second. So when someone comes to me and says, hey, I know you do financial planning. Can you, I really want to learn more about that. I think I might need that. Can we talk about it? My job, right, is to show up in artfulness. My job is to show up to them and help them understand what it is. First, understand what this person needs and say, okay, you're asking me about financial planning. Tell me about your financial situation. Tell me what's going on for you that inspired you to reach out to me. What's the thing? What's happening? What's the life event? Usually there's some sort of life event that's happened that has caused them to be like, hey, I should talk to a financial planner. And I've seen you talking about human design, and I've seen you talking about, financial planning with heart. And that seems like what I want. Cool. Okay. So this person, I'm curious. I ask them the questions. What is it that you're looking for? What's going on in your life? Why is this important to you right now? And then my job, the artfulness that I bring into it when I am selling my services from a place of love, from a place of heart marketing, as this is called, I am so this person is giving me the information, right? They're laying out the puzzle pieces. Here's my situation. Here's what's happening. The artfulness comes in and says, "Oh, I see these pieces. Oh, yeah. See this piece right here? See, when you talk about your business and your business finances, what if we look at it this way? Let's manipulate that. Let's look at it in all these different ways. Let's manipulate this piece and look at it from this direction, this direction, this direction." Cool. Do we understand that? Great. Let's set that one down. Okay, let's talk about your retirement planning. Pick up that piece. The manipulation is let's look at all the different sides. Let's manipulate that piece and look at every side of it so we understand your personal finances. All right, we can set that down. You want to plan for your legacy. Cool, let's pick up that piece and let's look at all the different sides of it. That's the manipulation. That's artfulness. We're looking at all the different sides and then saying, okay, cool, let's set that one down. And so, artfulness, again, bringing artfulness into the conversation is every time they have a question, I'm meeting them with an answer. I'm meeting them with, how do you do this part? Why is this important? What's happening here? I bring my experience to the table and we lay it out and we look at it together. That's artfulness. I know that I'm great at what I do. I know that I'm wonderful in this capacity, and it's not pride, right? There's no fear there. I'm also not boastful about it. There's no anger behind this. Instead, it's that sense of, hey, I'm really good at this. And I know that. And that's great because that means I can help so many people in this way. So I'm not boastful about it. I'm also not manipulating someone. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid that they're not going to hire me, right? That would be being in pride, and being in the shadow side of manipulation is when I'm like afraid, oh, I have to get this new client. I have to make this work. I have to, doing things that are manipulative. That's pride. That's the shadow. Artfulness instead says, yeah, I love doing this work. I'm great at this work. I can absolutely help you in these ways, X, Y, and Z. And then allowing that person to then make the choice that's best for them. And artfulness, artfulness is that sense that things can be easy. I can do this. I can sell in a way that feels good to me and it can be easy. And so for you, Amanda, when you're talking about what's right for you, whether that's cleaning or maybe it is art in some way, right? Whatever it is, you're going to know, right? Your purpose, as this talked about, you're going to be so grounded in that. You're like, oh, this is what I do. I'm amazing at this. And let's say it is cleaning. We'll use that as an example. You say, you know what? Me and my partner are so good at cleaning. We will make your house look absolutely beautiful. You will feel so relieved that you don't have to do this every week or every other week, however you work with them. And you're just going to feel so taken care of. And it's going to be such a wonderful addition to your life to have your home cleaned. Um, and you're saying that out of truth and out of purpose and out of care, right? Rather than making promises that you're not going to keep, or feeling like you have to go out and get every new client that could possibly come to your door, and you have to hold on to it, and you have to you hear that they're interviewing or working with someone else, and you're like, oh, that person, you feel like you have to put that person down so that you can look better than them, right? That's pride. That's the shadow. When you're in your artfulness, you are grounded, you are rooted in, I am wonderful at this. I provide so much value here. And I know I can help you if that feels good for you. And there's enough to go around for everyone. If there are other house cleaners in your area, guess what? There's so many homes, right? If someone else is cleaning the neighbor's house, great. That's wonderful. It's great for them. There's no need, right, for that sense of, in order for me to win, someone else has to lose. That's the difference between the shadow and the gift in this 26 gene key from pride to artfulness. And last thing, so I'm so glad actually that you asked this question and that we had a chance to go over this again, because this is a really important part of my profile as well. So I love that I get to sometimes dig into someone else's um, situation, and then I get to learn, reflect on that for myself as well. It's so much fun. The last piece of that is that you said it was the line 2 on your vocation. Um, and so I would encourage you to explore the line 2 on the vocation and the line 2 on the core wound. Okay, Zoom with their balloons. Figure out how to turn that off. But I'm just going to talk about the line 2 on the vocation for right now, and then I'll wrap this up. Line 2, marketing. Okay, so this is from this one, the Prosperity Sequence book. And so it's line 2 of the Vocation Sphere. It's called marketing or the agent. The main thing with line 2 is nearly always, like a big part of line 2 is that it is about being the natural, being at ease, doing things that come naturally to you, right? And really leaning into your gifts. That's a really big part of it. And so Vocation Sphere, again, how you do what you do, it should come naturally to you. It should be something, it feels like you were born to do it. It feels innate. And so this piece, the second line vocation, is always looking for a pure message or transmission. They're looking for the dancer, they are the dancer looking for the right dance, or the virtuoso looking for the right composer. You're always connecting someone to something. You are meant to connect. This is the part I love this. The second line agent is a genetic karmic connector. They grease the wheels of prosperity through connecting the right people with the right ideas. If you have a second line vocation, there is nothing more exciting than when you find an idea or a product or a person worth guiding out of obscurity into the light. And so that can look like, again, connecting people like, oh, I heard this thing and I thought of you, or oh my gosh, this product is absolutely amazing. I can't wait to tell the world about it. It could look like, like I used this new lotion or this new eczema cream and I have to tell everyone about it because it was so amazing, right? Like it's a very natural progression. Like here's this thing, here's this service, here's this product that really, really worked for me or really has made a big difference for my family. And I want to share it out with the world. That's what the second line vocation is really natural at. You're always looking for that pure transmission that you sense will have the maximum beneficial impact on the world. It has to be something you feel impassioned about. Again, natural, innate, that really, really matters to you, and that fills you with life. It will also be a challenge at times because you are pitted against the collective shadow consciousness. But as a second line, that is why you live. To dance with the devil and to outwit the enemy, not because you crave recognition, but simply because you love the thrill of the ride. And so that's what this has to say about the line 2. Again, it's all about, being that connector, being the one that's connecting, people with ideas and products that are going to help them, and things that they need to know, right? A truth that they need to know, that will help them in their life. It's a connection point. So thank you again so much for the question. I hope this was helpful. And if anyone else has any thoughts after listening to this leave a comment, ask more questions. This was really fun for me to do. I spent way longer on it than I thought I was going to. But yeah, I would love to hear from you and know what resonated, what helped. And yeah, signing off now. Thanks, everyone.